Hare Krishna. So today we will speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2, the second chapter, verses 23 till 34. So the chapter is entitled Divinity and Divine Service, and we start with text 23. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So text 23, I've read the Sanskrit and the translation. Sattvam rajas tamaite pakete gunaster yukta para purusha eka ihasya date stit adaye harivichinchi areti samya Shreyam sitatra kalu sattvatanur enam syu. Translation: the transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, that are namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. So, Sutta Goswami explained before in the last session, you may remember, the whole progression from Shraddha to Prema. When we serve the pure devotees and chant here and here in their association, the Lord in the heart becomes pleased and he cleanses the heart from material desires. By simultaneously serving the devotee and the book Bhagavat, we progress to at least 75%, as we heard from Prabhupada last time. 75% of our anarthas are removed. The mode of passion and ignorance are finished. So we are in the mode of goodness, and then we progress to Suddha Sattva, we heard. Then Lord Krishna switches on the light, and we see Krishna ourselves, and we see our relationship with him, and we start our seva. The hard knot of ahankara is cut, our doubts are removed, our karma is gone, and we become liberated, finished. Such great souls engage in the service of Lord Krishna. In the final verses, we will hear who is the object of our service. So that is what we will hear now. What is the object of our service? From this section up to chapter 3, we will establish the supremacy of Lord Vishnu. We will establish the supremacy of Lord Vishnu and establish that Krishna, Vishnu, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we will hear that Vasudeva is supreme and that he is the goal of all our paths. At the end of chapter 2, we will hear about the Purush avatars, and then we will finish chapter 2 today. And then we will be going to chapter 3, and again beginning with the Purush avatars, then the Lila incarnations of Lord Krishna, So in this verse, we hear how Krishna expands as Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the world. Srila Prabhupada gives the example of the Kumbh Mela. If you go to Allahabad at any other time, not at the time of Kumbh Mela, you will find some banks at the river. But when you go in January, then you will see that a whole township has spring up at the Kumbh Mela, where there was nothing before. You will find electricity, a post office, and everything, all of a sudden created. This festival is created so that people can take bath at an auspicious time and get purified by association of the religious people there. Similarly, this creation is created at a certain point by Lord Vishnu, just to give a chance to the living entities to go back home, back to God. So one can say that Krishna has become Shiva and Brahma. So one can say, then I can worship anyone. The sages say that here, however, the sages say that the highest worship is the worship of Vishnu. The Srila Prabhupada compared often this material world to a prison. If you bribe the ward, then you may get a nicer food in the prison. In the same way, you can bribe the demigods and get a very nice place. A palace to live in, a nice food, but only if you worship Vishnu, then you can get actually out. So there was a devotee in jail who became a good friend with the ward, and he was cooking for him and typing for him. He got some benefits, but he could not get out of the jail. The real problem is how to get out. People don't think about this. They think, now I'm here. Let me make the best use of it. They don't know the goal of life. Nate vitus vartratimi Vishnam, and they worship the demigods. Lord Shiva is Asutos. He's very easily pleased. Lord Shiva will quickly give benedictions. Lord Shiva is always in meditation on Sankarshan, and he does not want his meditation to be disturbed, so he gives quick benedictions. Now go. So Vishnu is not like that. He won't give what is bad for you. He will not give you a benediction that make you to stay here in this miserable world. Therefore, the Shreya is Vishnu, ultimate goal. In the 11th canto, there is a prayer to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is said, Shiva Vinshinutam, Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.33. Vande Mahapurusha Te Charanaravindam. They are worshipping Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because each Shreya, even for Lord Shiva and Brahma, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, even Brahma and Shiva can cross over the ocean of material existence. So this is the point in this verse, and we will hear more in the next verse. So the Shreya, the eternal, that's important. And the Preya, the immediate benefit, temporary, it is not important. We will now read verse 24. Partivadaruno dumas tasmadachnis taimaya tamasastu rajastasmat satvanyat pramadakshanam Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than raw wood, and fire is still better. For by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifice. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best, because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. So when we plant a seed in the earth, we get a tree. From a tree, we get wood. Then we take the wood and we make fire. But first, when we make fire, we get smoke. And then the fire comes. That's what we need. Fire is useful for cooking and for heating. Everyone is going on because of the fire. Brahma and Shiva are different incarnations of the modes of nature, but actually this is what we need. We need Vishnu. Smoke will not help us to get out. Fire is required. Not only Vishnu is required, but also the mode of goodness is required. A Brahmin is in the mode of goodness, and therefore he can realize Brahman, Brahma Darshanam. Srila Prabhupada said, one who has seen Brahman or one who knows Brahman, he is a qualified Brahman. Therefore, tamasas rajas tasmat sattvam yat Brahma darshanam, the last two lines. We have heard before that we first go through all these stages and finally we come to the mode of goodness. And then finally things start happening. The chain of fruitive action is cut and one sees the Lord face to face, Brahma darshanam. So Prabhupada gave us therefore restrictions. Therefore, we get up early in the morning, we take a bath and we follow the four regulative principles. This is to help us to come to the mode of goodness. So those in the mode of goodness, they can study the Vedas, perform Vedic sacrifice. For sacrifices also you need fire. For this, the mode of goodness is required. Of course, how many of us are in the mode of goodness? It is a high position to be in the mode of goodness. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmins work. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is merciful as usual. And it tells us not to be discouraged. So in the first paragraph, near to the beginning, so it is said there, it is further comprehended herein that one has to rise to the platform of goodness, sattva, so that one can be eligible for the devotional service of the Lord. But if there are impediments on the progressive path, anyone, even from the platform of tamas, can hardly rise to the sattva platform by the expert direction of the spiritual master. Sincere candidates must therefore approach an expert spiritual master for such a progressive march, and the bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct a disciple from any stage of life, tamas, rajas, or sattva. The disciple may not be competent, but the spiritual master can use his conditioned nature and how to use his nature so that he can progress. So whatever condition of life you are in, you can progress. A very nice example is given about Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj was in a great battle with the Yakshas. The Yaksha were raining so many arrows on Dhruva. Clouds of arrows came upon Dhruva, just like the rain. So when the rain is going on, the mountain, then all the dirt is washed away from the mountain. So when the arrows covered Dhruva, then all his incompetences were washed away. It did not mean that he succumbed in the battle, but that all the dirty things were washed. That all the dirty things were washed away from Dhruva, and then he could achieve his goal and win the battle. So the arrows were like obstacles on his path. Sasrup Goswami, he says here, all the incompetencies of Dhruva Maharaj were washed away. So if a disciple follows the instructions of the spiritual master, the obstacles of the lower modes will not overcome him or kill the disciple, but his incompetence that will be killed. So Srimad Bhagavatam 4:10-13 says that this is a reference to what we said before. Dhruva Maharaj was completely covered by incessant showers of weapons, just as a mountain is covered by incessant rainfall. So also Lord Krishna is speaking to Uddhava in 11:14-18, that's Uddhava Gita. My dear Uddhava, if my devotee has not fully conquered his senses, he may be harassed by material desires, but because of his unflinching devotion to me, he will not be defeated by sense gratification. So the main point of this purport is that you must come to the mode of goodness. In a lecture on this verse, Srila Prabhupada was glorifying the land of India, Bharatvarsha. He said the goal of Vedic culture was to cultivate the mode of goodness and attain moksha and go back to Godhead. If we read Ramayana, the Ramayana is older than the Mahabharata. So then Vishwamitra, when he went to visit King Dasarath, the king Dasarath asked Vishwamitra, how are you doing in your efforts to conquer over the path of birth and death? This is just to show the goal of the Vedic culture is to attain liberation, is to attain the mode of goodness and attain liberation. Srila Prabhupada gave an example of how people were satisfied in whatever position they were, but they still tried to cultivate spiritual knowledge. There is a story of a Brahmin in Krishna Nagar. Srila Prabhupada tells it, told it a few times. So this Brahmin in Krishna Nagar, he was very poor. And a rich landowner that Radha Krishna Chandra came to him and he said, oh, you are so poor, let me help me. Let me give you something. The Brahmin replied, my disciples are bringing me rice every day, and I have a tamarind tree, and I take the leaves, mix them with rice, and I'm very happy. I don't need your help. So this is the Vedic culture. This is the glory of India. Vyasadeva was living in a very humble cottage. The 6 Goswamis were living under a different tree, and they gave us so many literature. Srila Prabhupada, after glorifying India, he started to glorify the Western devotees, not the culture, but the devotees. He said that they are anasuyave, so without envy. Now text 25. Vajiramantayotake bhagavantam adoksayam sattvam visutam maya kalpante nyenutanniha. Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the 3 modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions, and thus they derived the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. So, yes. So this was the point. We follow the pure devotee and he will help us to attain liberation. Sutta Goswami makes this point. Brahma and the sages in the beginning of creation were worshipping Krishna. Text 26. Mamokshavo kora rupam hitva bhuta patinnata narayana kala santa bhajanti anasuyava. So those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. So non-envious anasuyava. Srila Prabhupada gave the example of the Westerners that when he went to America, he told everyone that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they accepted. But Srila Prabhupada said, when I say that here in India, they say, why not Kali? Why not Shiva? He's also one of the gods. Yes, worship all of them. So this is the problem. When you try to preach in India, why they are worshipping these demigods? Because they have so many material desires. The form of Kali is very ferocious, very horrible. It is a very ghastly form, ready to kill the demons. Therefore, we do not worship the demigods. Srila Prabhupada said, when I started this movement, I named it the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. If I had named it God Consciousness, then many people would have said, why not Shiva? Why not Ganesh? It is God Consciousness. Therefore, it is Krishna Consciousness, so that nobody can make a mistake. Srila Prabhupada had one German godbrother. He went to India to find out who was the Supreme Lord. He went to all the temples and of the demigods, and Vishnu and Krishna, all of them. He concluded that Krishna must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the other temples, they had some work they had to do. They had something in their hands for doing something, so they could not be God. But Krishna is playing his flute, he's enjoying. So he must be God. God is enjoying. So this is the truth. Reject the horrible forms of the demigods. Mumukshava gora rupam. This is Kaitava Dharma. This is rejected from Srimad Bhagavatam from the beginning. Srimad Bhagavatam 112. Dharma Prachita Kataya Patra. So verse 27 explains who worships the demigods. Rajastama Prakritaya Samasila Bhajanti Vayi Pitte Bhuta Pachasadin Shriyasparya Prajaksava. Those who are in the mode of passion and ignorance worship the forefathers. Other living beings and the demigods were in charge of the cosmic activities, for they are urged by desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. Shriyasparya Praja. She is beauty, beautiful wife. Aishvarya means wealth. Praja, descendants. There's a saying in Bengali, if you can see the grandson of your grandson, then heaven is opened. So they are saying that this is the goal of life, that you have lots and lots of children, beautiful wife. This is the goal of life. So this is the mindset of the demigod worshippers according to Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, their knowledge is covered. Kamastaritaritahyan, Bhagavad Gita 7:20. Kamastaritaritahyan, their intelligence is stolen by lust. Because they have so many desires, their intelligence is lost. Devotees' mentality is different. We heard in verse 19, Tatarachastamurva kama lopsayasite sitaranabdam sitvipat sattve pashitanti. So this is all finished. No more passion and ignorance. No more lust or greed. It's all finished for the devotee. It's like Shikshastakam, text 4, Lord Chaitanya says, Na danam, na jnanam, na sunnarim, kavitam yaisa kamaye, mamachanme jamamashvare, bhavata bhaktira haitvitvai. So if you are free from passion and ignorance, then you can be non-envious. Therefore, dharma prachita kataivatra. This cheating is rejected, and the truth is given for those who are nirmatsaram, those who are non-envious of Krishna. So this is for the devotees, those who are not envious of Krishna. Those who are envious of Krishna, they will worship the demigods. So forget all these material benefits. In the next verse, we will see who we need to worship. And Sutta will say it 8 times, who is that we should worship, so that we don't make any mistake. No matter who you are, you should worship Vasudeva. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Maka, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriya. Vasudeva param jnanam, Vasudeva param tapa, Vasudeva paro dharmo, Vasudeva paragati. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. All fruitive activities are meant ultimately rewarded by him only. He is the supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know him. Religion is, or dharma is rendering loving service unto him. He is the supreme goal of life. So that's also in Bhagavad Gita, all this knowledge. Vasudeva para Veda. Krishna is the goal of the Vedas. Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Vedasa sarva ame bhavitya. Same thing. And Vasudeva Paramaka, that is the goal of all sacrifices. Bhagavad Gita 3:9, Jachnasta karmano yatra lokyam karmavanam. One must perform sacrifice to please Krishna, and one is free from reactions. And Vasudeva Parayoga, Krishna is the goal of the yogis. Yoginamapasarvasam matyanantratmanam, Bhagavad Gita 6:47. And Vasudeva Prayakriya, fruitive activities, Bhagavad Gita 9:27. Yat karos yatasnas, yat yostadas, yat yatapas, yat count, yat karos. That's the same thing. And Vasudeva Pranyanam is the goal of all knowledge. Bhagavad Gita 9:2. Raja Vitya Raja Guram, and also Bhavanam Gyanamante Gyanmama Papachate 7:19. Or 13:18. Yotisam apitachoti stamasa paramuchate jnanam jyayam jnanagamyam edisarvasam pastitam. Is the sort of light in all luminous objects, is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge, and he is the object of knowledge. The goal of knowledge is situated in everyone's heart. And Vasudeva Paramtapa. Yeah. Then Bhagavad Gita Yat Tapasya to Kantiya, that whatever sacrifice you do it for me. Whatever austerity you do. Vasudeva Parodharma, it is the Parodharma, Yeah. Sarvam Pacham Amakam Sambhajam. Yeah, and Sarva Vasdev Brahmati. Bhagavad-gita 8, 19, 15. Mamupetya punarjanma dukalayama asasvatam napnuvantim atmana samsitim paramam gata. Same thing is the ultimate goal. After attaining it, the great souls who are yogis in the bush never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. And Bhagavad-gita 9:18 also. Yatirvata Prabhushakshi Nirasa Saranam Sarit Pava Palayastanam Nidanam Vicham Afyam. I'm the goal, I'm the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, the most dear friend. I'm the creation and annihilation, the base of everything, the resting place, and the eternal state. So there are many verses in Bhagavad Gita that say Gatir, that so by devotion service we can attain all these things. Also Bhagavad Gita 4:11, according to one's surrender, yeah, Krishna reciprocates. So yeah. So Srila Prabhupada in a lecture on this verse said that Vasdeva Paramaka Karma Kandiya is meant for Krishna, he says. Srila Prabhupada makes the point that in all sacrifices where they worship the demigods, all these ritualistic sacrifices where they worship the demigods, the Salagram Sila should be there, must be there even if they worship the demigods. On Vasudeva Parayoga, Srila Prabhupada says that today it is Sarira Parayoga. Instead of the goal of yoga is Vasudeva, the goal of yoga has become health, the body, keeping the body fit, reducing fat. That's the goal of yoga, they think. The real purpose of yoga is to meet Paramatma in the heart and meditate on Paramatma. Vasudeva Paramkriya, Parnashram Dharma. That do your work for Krishna, yat karosi yat asnasi. All scientific research should be known. Vasudeva Param Jnanam. So Vasudeva Param Tapa. The scientists are performing so much austerity. This austerity should be understood to be Vasudeva. One sentence of the last paragraph of the long purport, there Srila Prabhupada says, therefore, all culture of knowledge, austerity, sacrifice, and activity should be aimed at changing the quality of the influence that is acting upon us. We were hearing about the behavior of different people in the mode of passion and ignorance. And now it is explained how we should act. For the present, we are being controlled by the eternal energy of the Lord. And just to change the quality of influence, we must endeavor to cultivate spiritual energy. I skip a few sentences, then no one should bother himself with fruitive activities or dry speculation about transcendental knowledge. Everyone should at once engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. No should one worship different demigods who work as different hands of the Lord for creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. So here we have praticool and anucool. As it is said in, I think, in Nectar of Devotion, we accept worship of Vishnu and we reject worship of the demigods. So the next verses in this chapter are explaining the Purusha incarnations, 6:30. Saividam sasarchakre bhagavan atma maya satasatrupaya chasa Unamayo Shakuno Vibu. In the beginning of material creation, the absolute personality of God at Vasudev, in his transcendental position, created the energies of cause and effect by his own eternal energy. So the main point is a person creates. It does not come from nothing. Srila Prabhupada says, when you see material nature, when you see the mother and the children, then you ask, where is the father? There must be a father. There is no child in this world who doesn't have a father. It's in the same way, Krishna is the father. Text 31. Taya vilasitasesu gunesu gunavaniva antaparishta ahabati vishyanena vichimbita. After creating the material substance, the Lord Vasudeva expands himself and enters into it. And although he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, he is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position. So when Krishna comes, then people think, oh, he's one of us. Srila Prabhupada in the Uddhav Gita, in the Srimad Bhagavatam further, in the Uddhav Gita, the Uddhav says, fish see the reflection of the moon and they cannot recognize what the moon is. They think it is a big fish. So Duryodhana was thinking that, yeah, Krishna has some mystic powers. He wanted to capture Krishna, but no, Krishna is not one of us. So in the beginning of creation, everything was there. The demigods were there, but nothing is happening. But only when Vishnu entered, then things started to happen and the demigods knew what they had to do. Here in the Sanskrit, the second line, Gunesa Gunavan Iva. Although he is here within the modes, he is Gunavan, he is not affected. He is the controller of the gunas, he is not like us. We have a certain body given to us by the super soul, by the modes. The super soul reminds us, this is what you wanted to do. We can understand the presence of the super soul within us. We can even see the presence of the super soul in nature around us. The animals, the birds, how do they know how to fly? They fly in the north, to the north in the summer, to the south in the winter. And they all fly together. How do they know? Who tells them? It is the super soul. How does a newborn calf know how to get their food? They call it intuition. But this intuition is coming from the super soul. Krishna gives us remembrance of what we did in our past life. We did it so many times before. 32. Yatai avaito vani daus ekas vachoniso naneve bata vishpatma bhuteshu satata punam. The lotus super soul pervades all things, just as fire permeates wood, and so he appears to be of many varieties, though he is absolute one without a second. So what does it mean? He appears to be of many varieties. The super soul is in everyone's heart, but everyone is acting differently. The super soul makes one person acting in one way and another person in another way. So this is because we have different desires. The super soul is neutral, but is acting like a judge. It gives what each conditioned soul deserves due to his past actions. Although he gives different things to different people, he's the same, Srila Prabhupada said in a lecture, there are innumerable living entities, and is keeping all their accounts. What brain you need to know even it's every single desire of every living entity for millions of lives. This is Paramatma, he knows these things. We are learning different functions of the Supersoul from this verse. This is a very important, nice purport on verse. There is a very nice purport on verse 32. We will read it. Lord Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by one of his plenary parts expands himself all over the material world. And his existence can be perceived even within the atomic energy. Matter, antimatter, proton, neutron, etc. are all different aspects of the Paramatma feature of the Lord. As from wood, fire can be manifested, or as butter can be churned out of milk, so also the presence of the Lord as Paramatma can be felt by the purpose of legitimate hearing and chanting of the transcendental subjects, which are especially treated in the Vedic literature, like the Upanishads and Vedanta. Srimad Bhagavatam is a bona fide explanation of this Vedic literature. The Lord can be realized through the oral reception of the transcendental message, and that is the only way to experience the transcendental subject. As fire is kindled from wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can similarly be kindled by another divine grace. His divine grace, the spiritual mass, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages. His divine grace, by imparting proper spiritual messages injected to the receptive ear. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears only, and thus divine existence is clearly realized. The difference between animality and humanity lies in this process only. A human being can hear properly, whereas an animal cannot. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Sarvabhutnam Vichayunatishti Brahmam Sarvabhutnam Yantrayutai Maya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities, who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. So we are seated in this machine made of material energy. Srila Prabhupada gave the example of Krishna driving Arjuna's chariot, but actually is driving our chariot too. As a super soul, we are in our chariot, and Krishna is our driver. Of course, we have to accept him as our driver if we want him to drive our chariot. So Arjuna, because of his devotion, could bring Krishna outside and manifest him. No, 33. Asaguna Maya Bhave Buddha Suksman Be Spanirmetstation Nirvishto Bhungte Buddhesha Tatgunan. The supersoul enters into the bodies of created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle minds. So actually, we know it is our own desire. We cannot blame it upon the supersoul. The supersoul sanctions. And then, according to our desires, we get our bodies. We are the main cause by our desires to enjoy in this world. The Lord's desire is, Bhagavad Gita 1866, give up all these nonsense desires and surrender unto me. That is his desire. By these desires we have come into this material world, by these material desires. And by that we have material bodies. the last verse of today and of the chapter. Bhavayati satvana lokam vailoka bhavana lilavatarana nurato devatayam naradisha. Thus, the Lord of the universe maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. So that is why it is good to be in the mode of goodness. Then we will be reclaimed by Krishna. So I will read the purport from the second line. That the Lord Vishnu incarnates himself in each and every one of them, and in each and every type of living society. He manifests his transcendental pastimes amongst them just to create a desire to go back to Godhead. The Lord does not change his original transcendental position, but he appears to be differently manifested according to the particular time, circumstance, and society that so further, sometimes he incarnates himself or empowers a suitable living being to act for him. But in either case, the purpose is the same. The Lord wants the suffering of the living being to go back home, back to Godhead. So we don't have the desire to go back to Godhead. So Krishna comes here to create that desire to go back to Godhead. Krishna comes just to attract us. Lord Krishna in the beginning of the 12th chapter says, you should simply think of me. If you cannot do this, then you perform Bhakti Yoga. Follow the regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga to attain me. So Krishna comes. Bhagavad Gita is there to create that desire. And as that desire deepens, then it brings us from Shraddha to Prema and then back to Godhead. But and we can do that by serving the pure devotees. Bhagavad Gita in the 15th chapter describes that there is a banyan tree, and this tree is situated on desire. It is our desire to enjoy that brings us and keeps us here. So this is the section of today. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Nice class. So Maharaj, in the beginning, you did mention about Shreyas and prayers. If you can a little bit elaborate more, Maharaj.
Yeah, the Shreyas is the ultimate good or the ultimate purpose or the ultimate good. And the prayas is immediate good. So therefore, in Krishna consciousness, it is very important to understand the broader pictures. The Bhagavad Gita gives us the broader picture. It's not only this life. We can understand from Bhagavad Gita that we have gone through many, many lifetimes. And that gives the big picture. And according to our activities now, we get future lives. So if you understand the bigger picture, then you become interested in the Shreya. That's the ultimate good. I'm going up and down into this universe in different bodies, and it's a very risky business. So that's not the ultimate good. The ultimate good is to get out of it. So therefore, Krishna comes to explain us the ultimate good, how to get out here, And the point here made was we have to come to the mode of goodness, and then Krishna will reclaim us, perform devotional service, develop this desire to attain Krishna by following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. So that's very important. And if we don't understand the Shreyas, the ultimate good, then all what's explained in Bhagavad Gita does not make much sense. But if we really understand it by study Bhagavad Gita, we come to know the Shreyas. And that's this Vasudeva. Krishna is the goal of everything. And that's the goal. And that's our ultimate good that gives us freedom from birth, death, old age, and disease. But the prayas is the immediate good, the immediate sense gratification. And all this karma kanda is about the immediate good. We want to enjoy now, but it's all temporary. You can perform karma kanda, go to the heavenly plants, enjoy, but you have to come back. It goes very, very quickly. It's all very temporary. And therefore, it's prayers. It's an immediate good for some time. But we want the eternal good. And therefore, we have to understand the broader picture. And that broader picture is explained here, not only that broader picture, the process is explained how factually to come to this higher realization that and go back to God. The ultimate Shreya is going back to God. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj, thank you. So is it a right understanding, Maharaj, that prayers means the material benefits?
Yes, that's the immediate enjoyment. That's what people want. They want to enjoy now. That they don't want to work hard, but they want to enjoy. But they have to work hard too, and they think they will enjoy. But this enjoyment is only a concoction in the mind, and a false expectation which leads to frustration. That's all. That's this enjoyment. But this desire for enjoyment. So we have to give up this desire for enjoyment and go to the real enjoyment, the Shreyas, is serving Krishna in ecstatic love. That's the real. But to attain that Shreyas, we have to go to a process and purify oneself. And one must want to be purified. So, but if one understands the prayers, then the Shreyas, the ultimate good, then one develops a desire for purification. One wants to become purified and wants to go to the tapasya to do that, and by following the regulated principles of bhakti. That anyway, it's not so much a tapasya. We just need the determination to hear about Krishna and chant his holy names. Hearing and chanting. That's the first class process, and that's not so much tapasya. But if one does not want to do that as a devotee, then Krishna will also purify him, but it's a more harder way. First class is hearing and chanting. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Maharaj, if you have time, then one more question.
Yeah. Please.
So, Maharaj, about the demigod worship, like while preaching to the new devotees or those who are getting introduced to Krishna consciousness, many times they are attached to demigods. Like, for example, I come from Maharashtra, so there are many who are attached to Ganesha. or in northern part of India, there are many who are attached to Shiva. So how can we guide them compassionately? One way is that we reject and tell them, oh no, you shouldn't do. Stop worshipping Ganesha. You stop worshipping Shiva, and just focus on Krishna. But not many can accept it. Depending on where they are in their spiritual evolution. So what is the better way to handle that situation?
Which indirectly tell them about Krishna lifting Govardhan and rejecting the worship of Indra. And explain from Bhagavad Gita what Krishna says there about the demigods. And then gradually they may understand that, but don't say, don't worship demigods, don't instruct them, but indirectly. And yeah, if Krishna wants, they will start to understand but we can only instruct someone who is surrendered to us and who is surrendered to the process, and they are not on that level. That just preach indirectly through pastimes, and repeat that regularly, that kind of preaching, but indirectly. And they will understand at a certain moment that if Krishna so desires. But it depends. Some they come with some prejudice and they don't want to understand. That's a problem many times. They culturally they feel fine as long as you don't instruct them, because then they may not come anymore. So it's a gradual process. But if you can give them a book and preach to the book, that is Prabhupada. That's first class. He can preach to them. But we can only indirectly trying to convince them or in a general way, but never instruct. That's what I propose.
Yes.
Did that help?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Good. I see the daylight is coming up there. Here it's evening, the sun is setting. So I'm looking forward to see you next week. The Wednesday, right? That normal day, normal time. That we will start chapter 3. All these incarnations. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you very much.
Hare Bo.